Assalamu alaikum, sisters and brothers. My name is Sister Fatima Hodge. Welcome. Today we're going to continue the conversation on the black man and woman being equal but different. Now, sisters and brothers, the black man and woman are equal to one another. They teach us that the man is actually more intelligent than the woman. We know that that's false because you have men who are intelligent, you have women who are intelligent. You have men who are least intelligent, you have sisters who are least intelligent. So to say that a man is superior would be a false statement, right? Because clearly, like I shared, you have women who are smarter than a lot of men. You have men who are intelligent as well. So they're equal to each other. The only difference is who you are, which is a man and a woman. That's the difference between us. We used to be one at a time, right? And we have now separated that one being into two. And they were separated to the strength and the beauty. The man received the strength and the woman received the beauty. We used to be one being prior to this. So understanding that, sisters and brothers, we are one body. So he's 180 degrees and she represents the other 180 degrees. 180 degrees gives you what? 360. A complete circle. System runs completion. That's completion. Because we need one another. Sisters, you need your man. Brothers, you need your woman. Without each other, you are incomplete. Period. Because sisters and brothers, we were in fact one body at a time, right? So if we don't have that other half of our body, things are incomplete. Life isn't going right. Certain things, that you need a woman for, you don't have. Sisters, certain things you need your man for, you don't have. This is why it's important to have that other half, because you need a man. Sisters and brothers, you need a woman. And they teach you, in this reality to, do what you feel or want to do, at the moment. So a lot of our people are out here with women, with men, men with men, women with women. This is to confuse, how things go by nature, with man and woman. And they do these things on purpose. This is all to destroy the black family. And that is because they know there is no power in, you know, two women together. They're not, say for example, like I shared, the man is our other half, not another woman, not a woman and a woman together. No, that's conflict there, because that's not, especially when it comes. I'm not saying when it comes to having that unity there, and you all are playing house as if this sister is of a man, or this sister, I don't know how it goes when it comes to that. However, that's what a lot of people are doing today. and you can't replace just because you act like, you know, a boy or whatever the case may be, you can't replace that other half that that woman needs because you are in fact not a man, you're a woman. So, and vice versa for the brothers as well. You know, you can't replace the other half with another man. At that point, it's confusion there. It's confusion. And that's why they did what they did, put our men in prison, took them away from our homes, took them away from the family so they don't have any families. They don't have anyone to produce with, forcing them to, reach out to the other side. This is the things that, the conditions that our enemy put our nation under. And now we're suffering from that, sisters and brothers. So not only they put our men in prison, they're causing our men to, not no longer want us as a um, black woman. They no longer want the black woman, and this is because a lot of people don't, they fear us. They don't like the way that the black woman expresses herself because they feel like she's too, serious, or she's always too serious, or she's always having attitude, or, you know, or always have something to say. Period. It doesn't even have to be in those categories where you have attitude or anything like that. That's just what it's going to be taken as, because we're just speaking up for ourselves, and a lot of men, they feel intimidated by a woman that can actually speak up for herself and speak for herself, because a lot of men want a woman who just submits to them, who does exactly what they're told to do and obeys every command that her man gives him. And that's how a lot of men want to be in a relationship, and that's not how a relationship is supposed to go, because at the end of the day, you all are together, you all are one body. So not one party should be submitting to the other party. It should not be that way, where she's doing everything you tell her to do. You're controlling everything that she does. That, like I shared prior, when you control someone else, that means you lose control of yourself, and that statement there is important, because that's why it's so serious that we take control of ourselves, sisters and brothers, because we have to understand any anybody that's controlling someone else, I mean that you no longer have this control over yourself, or you no longer, that's important, because we all need to be able to do for self. That's the goal here, because shouldn't nobody have to hold you up. You should be able to hold yourself up, right? And that's why when men try to control the control the woman relationship, that shows that they have insecurities going on with them, because they don't want to hear you out at all. And that is a lot of our men today. And that's you can't blame them for feeling that way, because this world has taught for us to you know obey our man. I'm not saying to not obey your man, sisters, no ma'am. I'm saying the world has taught them that they're more superior, so they have that big head. But, sisters, you are just as superior to the man, period. You know what I'm saying? There's no difference between us. And that's what they try to put us below them, put us down. Or when women can't make any decisions, and that's the biggest thing that they are actually wrong about, because they try to, say that the woman's decisions are not valid. So that automatically puts a woman in a position where she's already like, obviously I don't, think at the level as a man, so I shall allow this man to control everything that I'm doing. He has the he's more responsible, and his word is more I could trust his word to do everything that he tells me to do, you know and that's because, like I shared, this world has made it to where the woman has no say so, and can that alone, you know can detour someone from wanting to be even in a relationship with a partner or have a significant other because they don't like the fact that they have to be treated that way. A lot of sisters don't like that, so a lot of women like, I'm independent, single black woman, I could do this on my own, and they have that narrative going, which has no power, and they know that the black us coming together, that's where the power lies, sisters and brothers. And they're making sure, excuse me, sisters and brothers, that you do not ever understand and see that point, because they have on their televisions 24/7 people arguing, fighting, killing, stealing, destroying. This is what they're showing you 24/7 on their TVs, sisters and brothers. So now you, not just on their TVs, in the music that you're listening to, in the shows that you're watching, sisters and brothers, they're promoting separation between us. And that's not where the power lies, sisters and brothers, because we are all one body and we all need each other. And they're teaching you that you don't need one another. Do what you want to do. They'll tell you to do better, or not, excuse me, not do better. But you know, basically the point I'm making is, to do for your, not do for yourself, because that's what we all need to get to the point of doing. However, I'm saying they're promoting for you to stay single. You got this. Powerful single mother, black mother, and we are accepting this because we don't know anything else, and we have our guard up with men or our men because we feel like, they don't respect us or they don't value our opinion and our perspective. And that is why the men are going to have to, accept the black woman's perspective, because we are equal to them, sisters and brothers. We are equal to the men. And soon they're going to place us on that pedestal that we deserve to be on. And sisters, because they're going to show and prove that that's another thing that they have to do, because we, the sisters, we are in fact, they want us to love and respect them, and, but they have to earn that, right? Not saying that our men, did this on their own, because we know that the enemy has destroyed our minds, right? And now we have our men out here, operating like the enemy. So we have to understand that, during the time when our enemies were raping us in front of our men and our children, doing all these things, horrifying things to us, our men had to stand there and watch these things take place to us. And if they did anything, they would be killed. So that that event alone is stuck within our people, our men, our women. So that's why it's so important that they reap what they've sown, sisters and brothers, because we still have all the trauma that they've done and caused upon our nation within us. It's not going away. It's in us. We are our ancestors. You are those who they were whipping and beating, sodomizing, all these things, raping. We are those people. You are your ancestors. And we have to understand that they are their ancestors as well. So all these people who are living, all these devils who are living good, because they're their ancestors, they're just like their sisters and brothers. Nothing has, only thing you have to understand that they are their ancestors as well. So they are those slave masters that was doing these acts to us. So we have to understand that we still are suffering from all the trauma that was done to us, and it's within us, and that's why our men don't protect the woman, because they fear that they'll be hurt by doing so. That's in them. It was they couldn't do anything. You know what I'm saying? So that's still how our men are acting today. It, and that's just what it is, because that's what the enemy has done to our nation, and they're not doing these things knowingly. And that's why it's so important to recognize, and once you recognize and receive this light, stick by your black man and black woman, because we understand what's taking place and what has been done to our nation. So you all are able to understand one another, and be able to come together as one, because you're not, placing the blame on him or placing the blame on her, because you all are understanding what is going on, what has taken place to us, and the severeness of the aftermath of that situation. So we are still suffering from, trauma from that. So understanding that, we can come together with that understanding, and be able to you know push through the hard times with each other, because at the end of the day, that's exactly what's happening to the original nation. We don't everything ain't good for us, when I wouldn't say good, but in your consideration, good for, with this reality, this is not our mind. This is not our heaven. This is their heaven. This is their mind. It's why they're successful in this reality, because this is their heaven. This is their mind, based off their minds, sisters and brothers, not ours. So we have to understand that. That means if you're operating in this reality, that means you're operating off of their operating system. And that's exactly what's taking place, sisters and brothers. These people brought us here, took us from our land in 1555. We had our minds. We knew who we were, right? Which is why it took them 64 years to strip us of everything, on top of rape our, seed, rape our black woman to produce their seed. They stripped us of everything, and it took them 64 years to do that. Knowledge, to strip us of all things, and we turned into what? Negro bots. They made sure that we were now operating off of their operating system, not our own mind, their operating system, right? They took us, they reprogrammed, they programmed the hardware, which was us, and made us operate off of their operating system, their software. And it took them 64 years to program that hardware. And that's exactly what they did. And we were Negro bots. 1619. We did everything Master told us to do. Yes, Master. Did everything. Nobody could, that's exactly what they wanted, though. We were robots at that point, Negro bots, and we still are Negro bots, So we have to understand that, these people, like I said, they brought us here 50-55, stripped us of all knowledge. Our servitude didn't start till 1619. Now, the scriptures read that we will be enslaved and afflicted for 400 years. And after that 400 years, will that nation that afflicted you, will I judge? The nation who afflicted you, will I judge? They're being judged because they have afflicted God's people, right? They were to just, we were supposed to just submit to them and be enslaved, not be beaten, tortured, raped. They were told not to touch that tree, right? But that's exactly what they did, sisters and brothers, which is why they're about to reap, but they're going to be cursed. It said you'll be cursed. And that's exactly what they are, cursed. And they said it would take 400 years before that judgment will begin. So 1619 to 2019 is what, sisters and brothers? 400 years. 2020 started off with a plague, right? Ooh, that means their judgment started immediately, just as scripture said it would, right? After that 400 years. Imagine how spooked their nation was. Imagine that. They shut down their whole economy because of this. That's because they know you don't read. You don't pay attention to the scriptures. But that's their guidance. That's how they're going through life. That's how they're making decisions, right? Sisters and brothers. Like I said, they put these people in our land, stolen our identity, said they're us, but they don't meet not one description of God's people that it reads in Genesis chapter 15, right? They don't meet any of those descriptions. But they surely put a people in not our land, in a land, right? To portray as us. Put them in Palestine to portray as us, as if they were God's people, put in the land, never to be uprooted, at peace. But as that was taking place over there, it seems they never meet any of these descriptions, right, sisters and brothers? Because they're liars. They're liars. Kill, steal, destroy. Kill, steal, destroy. And that's what they have done, sisters and brothers. Destroyed our nation. Sisters and brothers. So we have to understand that false Israel has stolen the original nation's identity. So, when someone steals something or commits a crime, they try to get rid of the evidence so they're not convicted for that crime, right? They try to hide all of the evidence of the crime or get rid of them so, when the judgment is final, they're not, judged for what was done, right? So that's what the enemy plans to do with our nation. They plan on getting rid of the evidence. And who is the evidence? We are. We're the evidence of their crime, sisters and brothers. So when their false Israel is taken out, which it says they would not be uprooted, God's people, once they're placed in their land, they will not be uprooted and they'll be at peace. And that's not what's taking place right now. They're at war. There's no peace there. And they're also about to be uprooted, kicked out, right? Taken out, sisters and brothers. So we have to understand that the scriptures says one thing, but another thing is happening, sisters and brothers. So that alone shows you that they're liars, right? Because the scripture says one thing and another thing is happening, right? Which is why I share when they're exposed and they're taken out, they're going to be focusing all their attention on all blacks and they're going to attack us immediately, sisters and brothers, because we, at that point, that's exposing that the black man and woman are God's people. And these people, they don't fear consequence, which is why they did what they did, which is why they do what they do. So they're going to get a reality check and say, these people are God's people, right? Oh, we must get rid of them because we are the evidence of their crime, right? They're not producing anything anyway. They're not doing anything, so we get rid of them. They're looking like clowns out here naked, booty shaking, gold chains, rings, teeth. But ain't producing nothing, ain't helping us. It's just in a way, right? So get rid of them. And the whole world wouldn't mind because they painted a narrative about the black women, of the black man and woman that was false. Because their children is who the world is looking at. Because their children is who they put on our televisions, on our movie screens. in our music that we're listening to. That's their children, their blackface children that are camouflaged in with our nation. Half of the blacks here in America are masses children from the rape of the black woman. And they act just like their devil fathers. They look like us, they talk like us, yes, but they act just like their devil fathers. They have the bloodline of their fathers. The only reason why they look like us is because of the black woman. They raped us, sisters and brothers. They raped the black woman. So you have white men who are as black as the blackest man at the end of the day, as black, just like the original man, you know? So that's why I said they're camouflaged in, because they look like us. They could be darker than me and be a Caucasian. Skin tone doesn't matter. We don't look at the skin of a person. It's the nature of a person, you know? Because we have our Master Fard Muhammad, the God of this time. He has white skin, but his nature is in fact original. So, like I shared, skin tone is not the factor here. It's the mindset. Like I shared, you have black people who are successful, like Massa, right? They have mansions, billionaires, what else? Cars, all these things that they have. They've graduated college, degrees, all these things they have just like Massa, because why? They are in fact just like their fathers, sisters and brothers. So this is why they are achieving all the things their fathers are also achieving, because they have that same mind. And this reality is based off of their mind. So yes, they will be successful in this reality. Yes, they've come. Yes, the demons are also experiencing, rejection from their fathers. But at the end of the day, they're just like them. So they have, they're receiving what they're requesting as well, and that's why they hate their own seed, because they're changing the fabric of America, right? Democrats, they're changing the fabric of America, their own children that they produce to destroy our nation. They're messing with them now. They don't like their own seed that they produce from the black woman. Why? Because they look like us. So they try to put that narrative of deadbeat on our nation, but they're the actual deadbeats, because they don't claim their children that they produce from the raping of 400 plus years of raping the black woman. Now you have children walking around who look like us, but they're actually your children, and they're confused. They don't know what to do. They don't know if they love. They don't know if they want to be with this or be with him. That's because they're confused, when really their heart is for their own people, right? Which is why half of them are with their own, with Caucasians. Period. That's one of the clear signs as well. I'm not saying that's a whole sign, because at the end of the day, or yes, a clear sign, because at the end of the day, you're demon possessed. If you're if you're original with a Caucasian woman, that means you're possessed. Your mind, you're a sellout. And those who are demons that have white women, because that's who their nature is. They love her. Yeah, they don't love the black woman, because they don't have to love the black woman, because they're not black. They're not, so they love, what do you consider them? Uncle Toms, the black men who were house Negroes, who helped Massa beat the field Negroes, who got special, treatment because they were Massa's children. They were in the house. That's the same thing that's going on today, sisters and brothers. Nothing has changed, just the time has changed. You still have the house Negroes, and you still have the field Negroes. House Negroes had more than the field Negroes. House Negroes had clothes, shoes. They had all the trinkets that you would look up to having, right, as a field Negro. They had all those things. So we were looking up to these house Negroes, and that's the same thing you're doing today, looking up to these celebrities, looking up to these comedians, looking up to these singers and artists. And that's exactly what you're doing today, because you're doing what they telling you to do in their music. You're watching their movies and you're doing, you're acting out what they're doing in movies. You don't realize that they're controlling your minds, period. 100%. They have to continue and continue to keep that control over your minds, because if that was to stop, that means that your mind is going to turn back to what it originally was prior, right? You were going to revert back to your nature. Like I shared, they programmed us, sisters and brothers, with their software. They programmed our hardware, our brains, with their mind. Sisters and brothers, we have their mind. Our brains is calculating their information, and it's not the right information, sisters and brothers, and this is what we're operating on. Their operating system. So imagine when we let go of this life and accept who we are. Even and just hear about who you are. You're God's people, It said that he shared that we will return back to our land. That means we're getting out of here. He said we will leave out. This is what this Genesis is telling you. Chapter 15 said we will leave out of this land with great substance, right? We will leave here. I mean, we're leaving here, right? Because that's what's going to take, sisters and brothers, for us to separate from these people. We have to get out of here. Complete separation. In order for us to get our minds back 100%, we have to completely separate from these devils. On top of their destruction, that's on the way, on the horizon, sisters and brothers. I know you see it. All the things that Israel is going through over there, that's soon to come here, and much worse, sisters and brothers. Sisters and brothers, we have to understand that America and Britain established false Israel there. They're involved with everything that they're involved with. So what you're seeing over there is going to come here. And it's going to be worse, sisters and brothers. Because America has never, this is unprecedented, had any gas, water, electricity, no food, no heat, no cool air. Imagine the wrath that's about to come here to America. When that takes place, imagine that. And then on top of that, the black man and woman are the true seed of Abraham. We are God's people. And we did all this stuff to God's people. Oh, we got to get rid of them. And the world won't care if they get rid of the black man and woman. Because they've done nothing but embarrass the world, Embarrass the woman, embarrass the man, twerking, booty out, men sagging, flip-flops on, hating their women, hating the men. Oh, they're no good. There's no use to them. And that's really mass as children. And also our nation as well from being demon possessed. So like I shared, they're, making us look bad. Masses black-faced children. And they're also in the works of destroying the black man and woman of America. Because, like I shared, the power is in our unity. The power is in us coming together. And they are pushing the narrative of, being independent, being by yourself, You can do this, you do bad all by yourself. However, as I shared before, we need one another. We need one another. We are one being. We were one being at a time, but now that we're separated, we need one another to complete each other. So there should never be a time where you don't, you know, want to actually have a man, or vice versa. There's never be a time where a man doesn't want a woman. It's just the fact of understanding each other's perspective, you know, because a man's is the strength and a woman is the beauty, and he's thinking in a different direction than what a female would be thinking, right? Because we are two different people, right? He's the strength, so he's thinking more logical, I would say. And then you have the woman's perspective, who's the beauty and we're emotional by nature. We may have had made more of a emotional decision. However, regardless, either decision that is going to be made, chosen to be made, it'll be the proper decision, and not where one, oh no, I make all the choices because her decision is emotional. She didn't have that emotion in her. Excuse me, Sister Brothers. Excuse me. If the woman did not have that emotional side to her, she would not be who she is, you know? So a lot of men want to change women, but at that point, you're trying to change her into being your friend or your homeboy. Because at the end of the day, the woman, yes, she's emotional. If she did not have those emotions, she would not be able to take care of you. She would not be able to take care of her children. She would not be able to nurture. And that's exactly what her nature is to do. So that's why she has that. She wouldn't be able to make sure the home is beautiful. Usually when a man has a house, they just put, got a bed, they got this, they got that. That's all they need. They don't. We come in and we make the house beautiful. We decorate it, we make it, put our little flavor in it, and that's what truly a man should love. A woman expressing herself, and not, stopping that, because that's how a lot of men are. Oh, you don't need all that, or, they try to dim in our light, our shine. And that's not right, and that's going to be one of the brother's biggest problems, to accept that the woman is equal to him. Because you know, a lot of men don't like to hear what the woman has to say or the opinions of a woman, and that's just something that, I can't speak for men. However, that's going to be a big challenge because, you know, I guess it hurts when a woman is saying, is speaking true facts, and just speaking up, period. I guess it's not, that's not, or what, normal, or, you know, yeah, I would say normal. Uh, and they hate it, sisters and brothers. Sisters, they hate that about us, and we do always have something to say because we have opinion, and there's nothing wrong with that at all. There's nothing wrong with your perspective at all, sisters. And that's why I said it's important for us to submit to one another, not where you're just submitting to him or he just submitting to you. No, you are going to submit to each other because you all are going to come together as one and understand that each other has a say and an opinion, and you're going to voice it. You're going to be able to be free and voice that, to each other. And we're going to be able, that's like I shared, it's you're going to weigh out which perspective is the proper perspective to use at that moment. We're not going to say, oh, this is what we should do because he's the man, or this is what we should do because she's the woman. It's not, it's the knowledge that was expressed, which one makes sense. We're not being personal about the decision being made because she's a woman or she's a man. No, it's not no personalism there. We're focused on here. We're focused on what makes sense, right? So his decision might make sense to this situation. When we need to go with what my husband is saying and what he says. Period. Her decision makes sense for this situation. So we're gonna go with what my wife said. We're gonna go with what my wife shared, and because this will make sense here, and I can show that and prove that. So that's why I'm saying it doesn't matter. We need to get to that point where we're accepting each other's perspectives, because you know that woman's perspective could have got you out of a lot of trouble, because the men think they're the strength. So they're thinking, I gotta beat this man up, or I need to use my strength, right? And every time you don't always have to use your strength in situations. That's when the beauty comes in, the woman. Okay, letting you know that don't do that, babe. Stop you from doing something that you could have gotten in trouble for, or it could have escalated to another situation, and a man are not looking because they're the strength, so they're looking exactly what took place. So the woman, that's the importance of the woman's perspective being around you, so she can, express it. Baby, it's going to be okay. Just move forward, walk away. And that's that emotional perspective, but it still was the right thing to do at the moment, right? I know it probably messed with your pride as a man, but you're looking at the whole picture. You're right, babe. This could have caused another situation where, you know, the authorities are called or something else took place or led up to something else. So we didn't. So what you did, your decision was the proper decision to make. I might be a little mad about it or a little in my feelings because I wanted to do what I needed to do as a man. But, you know, it's okay. It's okay to submit to your woman. It's okay to submit to your man. So like I said, we have to submit to each other. It's not a one-sided thing. And also it's not like it's people think of, you know, submission is like a slave, or you would look at it as someone's, if you're submitting to one party, you know what I'm saying? That will be, a lot of men want a woman to just to say nothing, just do what they say, period. And that alone, that's wrong. That's wrong. She's a human just like you. She should be able to express herself just like you're expressing yourself, right? But they put her in this box where, I want you to do exactly what I tell you to do. You need to act like this. I don't want you to act like that. I want you to act like this. I need to build a woman. Look how build a bear. I need to build a woman. That's what they want. They want to build a woman. They want her to be just like how you want her. I need you to play the game. I need you to lay back. I need you to be quiet. I need you to do this. And they want a homeboy. That's really what they want because they're changing her. Anyone that's wanting to change who you are, that means they don't like who you are because they changing you. They're changing you from who you truly are. That means that they don't like who you truly are because they're trying to change you. And anyone that's trying to change you, they hate you. And they're trying to control you. That means they have no control over themselves anymore. Anyone that's trying to control another, using that energy to control someone else, you can use that energy to control yourself and worry about yourself. So anyone that's trying to change who you truly are by nature, who you are, they hate you. And that's exactly what our enemy has done to us. Stripped us of everything. Changed us 100%. Uploaded their software into our brains, their mind. They changed us 100%. Sisters and brothers. So what does that mean? They hate you. They hate us. They hate who you truly are. They can't have you separate from them. They can't have that. This is why they had their demon children trying to come and make us be back together. I had a dream that my children, all these things, this is their black-faced children that they're using to keep us together, to keep us right next to them because they have to keep that eye on us. They have to stay around us. They got to keep corrupting us 24/7. They can't allow us to separate and go and do what, on our own, go off on our own. That's the case, then what does that mean? Like I shared, once we separate, we're going to go naturally go back to who we truly are. Oh, they can't have that. They had to keep that fear on us 24/7. Control, 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 control. All you worried about is going to work. All you worried about is, all you worried about is working. All you worried about is eating. All you worried about is picking your kids up from school, picking your school up from practice, uh, watching TV, watching the next show that's coming on, listening to that corrupt music. This is what you're worried about, sisters and brothers. This is what we're focused on. And that's why they had to keep that focus. They had to keep this reality running. Because if we didn't, we were not focused 24/7, like I said, we don't have any downtime. They don't even give us any downtime. Do you hear me? If we don't pay that bill, you won't have anywhere to live. Period. Period. You don't pay that car note, you don't have anywhere to live. You have to go to the plantation, all these things. You have to do all these things constantly, 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 constantly. So you don't ever give you that time to even process and think, relax and think. That's why it's so important because for our people to start thinking, because we're not thinking. We think that waking up in the morning, brushing our teeth, getting dressed, getting our children together, it's and going to work, doing our job is thinking. That's not thinking. That's just what we have to do to survive in this reality. That's not real thinking. You're not doing any thinking, because if you were doing any thinking, you would realize what's going on. This is all, this reality is toe up, right? You will realize, you start to open your mind to asking questions. That's another thing, because, the true light would come. However, which is we're given to you now. However, even if you did not know that light, you will start to question your reality. You will start to question what's taking place if once you have that time to sit down and think. You know what I'm saying? So that's why they have to keep you constantly under their control on Section 8 housing. You're not paying the bills. You're not paying any of the bills. You're just living under their authority, under their control, which also puts you in a place of being disabled, because you are not paying your bills. You're not thinking to get, you're not using your mind to get, things done. You're not doing for self. So you're allowing them to control your energy. So that's exactly what they're doing. They're controlling your energy, and they're putting us in a position where we don't even want to think for ourselves, because we lay back. Oh, we get a bigger house if I have another baby. Oh, I'm going to get a bigger voucher. Let me get I get free food. Oh, let me let massa feed me. We don't understand that we are accepting massa to take care of us and manage our energy, when that's something that we have to do for self, which is manage our energy. And that's what makes us a God, sisters and brothers. Once we come to the point of managing our own energy, that's when you are now God, right? We are angels right now. But once we get to the point of managing our own energy, doing for self, that's when you become that God status, right? Because you're doing for self. You don't need anyone to do anything for you. You're doing for self, right? You're thinking for yourself. You're getting your own things done, You have your own business. You don't need massa. You don't need him, right? And that's the ultimate goal, sisters and brothers, for us. Because our nation is depending on massa to do everything for us. And it's not our fault. Like I said, we're not going to blame the product, because we're the product. We blame the manufacturer of the product. Like I shared, the woman, the mother, the parents, they raise us, right? So we'll be a reflection of them, right? So do you see how they, disrespect the Black community like they do? call us thieves, rapists, all these things they do, killers or whatever the list goes on, you know. And last time I checked, we were brought here from our land, taken here, stripped of everything. Hold on. Given their mind. And now they're questioning I forgot the point I was making to the brothers. Why we're acting the way that we do, right? Because that's who we're around. People who kill, steal, and destroy. Those are y'all are the manufacturers, right? So why are we out here acting like that? Why are people out here acting like that? Shouldn't we have a better example? What's going on? Because this is a reflection of our enemies. And they don't, and they want to say that I don't know why they act. They're like that. They're just messed up people. Black people are this, but they're the reason why we're the way that we are. That's who they are. Like I said, they're picking up on our and we're picking up on theirs. They try to make it seem like they're just so perfect and so civilized. They're not, sisters and brothers. They're not. They're far from it. They're devils, actually. Devils in disguise because they're trying to make it seem like they're innocent, and they're not. Like I shared, the people that are surrounding you today they are their ancestors, meaning they are those slave masters that were beating us. They are those Caucasians that hated us 100%, wanted us dead immediately. They are them. Nothing. They have returned now, just like we have through the womb. And they still, like I said, we still have the feelings. We still have all the trauma that was done to us within us. So imagine what they still have within them. They hate us 100%. That they're hiding. They hate us. So when it's free for them to attack and do what they want to do, oh, sisters and brothers, we don't know what we are up against. Which is why it's important for us to see the true devils that they are. Excuse me, sisters and brothers. Excuse me. It's important for us to see the true devils that they are, because you need it, how some situations takes for you to experience it in order for you to understand. That's exactly what is going to take place. That's exactly what it's going to take. It's going to take that fire to touch us for us to hop up and move. Because right now we're walking dead. We don't know. We don't know what's going on. We high fiving them. We want to we partying with them. We don't know we don't know that they're our enemies. You know what I'm saying? We don't know what they're capable of because we not seen it. You know what I'm saying? Well, they show us in plain sight. They show us their movies, all the time. Their horror films, and they show us their actual documentaries of Caucasians killing and chopping up people, eating them, all these things. And that's what they do. That's what they're showing you. So you have no excuse to say, oh, I didn't know. You knew. We showed you. We showed you. So you knew. Period. Excuse me, sisters and brothers. I apologize. My light went off for a moment. All right. Excuse me. Yes, so like I shared, they're putting it in plain sight for us to see exactly who they truly are, because them horror films that they make and things like that, that's not how we think. I mean, me personally, I don't, a lot of things that they do in horror film, I couldn't even imagine doing it. Like in, it's a movie called Saw, and he has many ways that he kills people, and the ways that he's doing these things is like, why would you do that? Who even has the thought? That's because they're devils. Weak and wicked. Kill, steal, and destroy. This is who they are by nature. We're righteous by nature, but they're killers by nature. They're killers by nature, sisters and brothers. So we have to understand how serious this time that we're living in is, because when they get a whiff of the black man and woman, when false Israel goes down over there, when they're destroyed and they're taking out, that is going to be the clear sign that the black man and woman of America are the true seed of Abraham. And we got to get rid of them. Like I said, they're killers by nature. They're not going to be scared to take and kill you. You may be that. You got to think. You got to get out of your mind. Put yourself in these killers' mind. You're thinking about how you would feel. No. We have to take. Like I shared, these events is about to take place has never, it's something that we haven't experienced. So it's something that you really, you can't really explain because you haven't experienced it, but you can give like some type of idea, So like I shared, we have to start putting ourselves in their minds so we see how serious what's about to come. The killer's mind, they're trying to kill us. They're killers by nature. Trying to get rid of us. And they're not going to hesitate. They're beasts. They're not even human. They're beasts by nature. That's why they love animals so much. That's why they love their dogs. They'll take care of a dog before they ever ask about you. Oh, is he okay? Did he get hit? Over an animal. That's because that's their family, Literally. So they feel that way. That's why they feel so deep about them. They can't hide it. So they care about animal more than they care about you. And they're happy and smiling today, right now. And they're just getting you nice and whipped up and marinated. That's all that is. So when the event takes place, you're gonna be so whipped and dipped. You're gonna come in their house and they're gonna treat you as if you're one of them, and lure you into their environment to kill you, sisters and brothers. That's how serious this is, and it's not a game. This is the mind of our enemies. This is what their plan is, which is why our unity is very important, because that is what's going to get us out of this situation. Our unity. We're going to come together when this happens. As a mighty nation, the scripture said we're going to come together in a twinkle of an eye. Wow, sisters and brothers, imagine that. And they say, like I shared, 1619, 2019 is 400 years, right? 2020, judgments began immediately. What? So you can't say that, the scriptures are not correct, because they're taking place as we speak. So it said, in a twinkling of an eye, we would be changed, right? Warriors, ready. Sisters and brothers. We're going to be a mighty nation. One band, one sound, one vision, and one body. And that's the power that they don't want to take. They don't want to see. And that's going to hurt them, sisters and brothers, because we're going to take back our power, right? We're taking that back, because right now, they're in control, right? And they're going to be in for a rude, sisters and brothers, a rude awakening when the black man and woman rises from their slumber. That's why our unity is so important for the black woman and black man, that to come together as one. That alone is beautiful, because They taught us to separate, to say, forget him or forget her. Don't listen to her. Don't listen to him. Sisters and brothers, we have to listen to each other. You have to listen to each other's perspectives. Like I shared, you can't be with someone who has another vision. We got to be on the same vision. We have to have the same vision, right? We all need to be. We all, in order to achieve Hajj, we all have to have that same vision, which is the Abrahamic covenant, which is our vision to get out of here. The Injil is our map. Revelations breaks down everything, the events that will take place. And this is all to get us out of here, sisters and brothers. It shares a man will come as a messenger of the covenant, whom you delight in, right? He's going to be giving you the message about the covenant. And that's exactly what he did. Because now we're here giving you that message of the covenant that we didn't have no clue about, the Abrahamic covenant. Because they have their demon children blocking us. They're blocking us. We have no clue that we have a promise that was made to us. Which is why we're reflecting this light to you, sisters and brothers, because you all need this light. You all need to know that you have a promise for all the suffering that you went through for 400 plus years. You all need to know this, because that alone, understanding that will change your mind. Genesis chapter 15, verse 13 through 18. Read. That describes God's people. Abraham's vision of horror, sisters and brothers. Because that's exactly what happened to us. That's exactly what took place. Horror to our nation. And we will never forget. And they're going to reap what they've sown. All right, sisters and brothers. With that, I will be back with more. Assalamu alaikum.